It's going to take about 2 hours and 47 minutes. Why isn't there a lip for this to stick into? I need to glue this little guy in there. So we've got about 100 or so grams left on. Welcome back, folks. Today I've got some Etsy orders to get shipped out, just a few of them, like usual. And then we're going to get these printers loaded up with some new models that I found online, and we're going to get that Etsy store stocked back up because 14 items for sale is not cutting it anymore. Let's get right into it. Today I've got 4 of those tire shop desk organizers to get shipped out. 3 of them going to a repeat customer, James, who's bought, I think, 5 of them in the last 2 weeks. So thank you, James. And then I've also got one of those chocolate popsicle decor things for birthday parties. Let's go pick those items so we can get them out to the mailbox before the post office gets here. 3 of them for James. Then 1 for somebody else. Then we've also got one of these guys. We're also going to need this. All right, we've got our shipping labels printed out. That's enough for the computer for today. Looks like this guy is going to somebody named My iPhone. It's an odd name for your parents to have given you, but, you know, to each their own. Going to Apple Valley, California to My iPhone. Hopefully your iPhone didn't automatically place the order for you. So for James's 3, I'm going to use a box because, well, they're not going to fit into one of those bubble mailers. Gonna get some bubble wrap here just to line the inside of the box. And then each one of these is gonna go into a bubble bag. Hopefully they both fit. Well, this is gonna be a tight fit. We're gonna make it work though. I'm gonna throw James's packing slip in there. Hopefully this closes for us. I used to have enough time in the morning to get all these things packed up because the mailman never used to arrive until about 10:30. For whatever reason, in the last week, he's been coming at about 8:30, 8:15. So as of the current time now, I have about 10 minutes to get the rest of this packed up, if that. This one is going to go into 10.5 by 16 mailer. Make sure I put the packing slip in there for Katie. And then I need to glue this little guy in there. So just going to do a little drop of glue. That should be enough. And then this guy can get stuck in there. Just like that. Then it will go into a bag. And those ones, although they're small, I really do prefer putting them into a box just to protect that popsicle stick at the top. Something tells me that would get broken in transit. I believe these are 9 by 6 by 4 boxes as well, so I could have gotten a smaller one. Possibly like a 5 by 5 by 5 would be more beneficial for these ones, but for now this is what we have. If you would like to pick any of these up, any of the bubble mailers, tape, shipping labels, packing slips, anything like that, links are down in the description below to the Amazon listings. Got in there, 1 more piece of bubble wrap on top. Packing slip goes inside for my iPhone. And these 3 packages are ready to go. So we've got about 100 or so grams left on each of these spools, maybe. I always set these aside. As you can probably see, I've got some other ones down here that aren't quite as full. There's the black over there. When I get 4 of them all set up, I'll throw them over on the A1 Mini with the AMS and just let them run through. I can get almost 2 more sets done with 400 grams. So pretty efficient. I know they sit there for a while. So those of you wondering what I do with the spools when they get that low, they sit there until I'm able to efficiently use them. And I had a couple questions in the last video about why I clip the filament before I pull it out if I'm going to unspool it anyway, and that's because I don't like waiting. So here's what happens when you just unravel it. So it does cut it. You can pull it back just like this. Ready? Cut filament. And now it's going to have me pull it back. All right? But now I'm sitting here unraveling the thing. And I got to loop it back through. And now I got to do that again for this one. Screw that. That's why I do it. Because it takes 2 seconds to clip it and pull it off, and it takes about 10 to 15 seconds to unravel it. Time savings. Plus, when these are heating up, I can go clip it, put the new spools on. So as soon as they're done doing what they're doing, I can just immediately load up a new spool without having to wait again. Hope that makes sense. If I was just running a single printer, it might work that way, but it's just far easier to do this. Load up your new spool and get it fed in there. Because as soon as these things are done unloading, the nozzle temperature starts going back down. So the more time that I wait while I'm unraveling each of them, the longer it takes for the nozzle to heat back up. It's pretty ironic because right now they're cooling down because I'm talking, but most of the time it's a pretty quick process. And for the filament, I'm using Deeply. It's virtually the same thing as the Elegoo. If you go onto the Deeply storefront on Amazon, in fact, it is just an Elegoo storefront, the Elegoo logo and all of their products. So I'm not 100% sure of the relationship. I'm guessing it's just a rebrand of the Elegoo filament from the same supplier. It works just as good with the Elegoo profiles though. Get this loaded up, some dumbbell ends, and we can get this loaded up. Let's see, do we have any of those pencil tire shop desk organizer? I don't think that's going to print. Let's see. It didn't have an image there. Doesn't have any grams or how long it's actually going to take inside of there. But I do need more of those tire shop desk organizers, so hopefully that actually works. Otherwise, I'll have to cancel the print and send a new one over. I do need to get another one of these printed out for clippers and cutters over on the other side of the shop. I believe I printed that with PET GHF from Bamboo. If you are interested in this model, I've got it linked down in the description below. Pretty cool. I've got it set up to hold one of the spare nozzles and hold pens and pencils. This is for the slice engineering stuff, so you don't have buildup on your nozzle. And then we've got some printing adhesive, scraper, and a few of our snips. Thank you to my buddy Zero again for designing this and sending it over. It looks like we've got 6 hours, 52 minutes on the tire shop desk organizers. I can fit 4 of them, probably more on the A1 Mini. But I like to base things off of filament usage and time rather than how much I can fit on a build plate at the same time. Same with this. This takes about 230 grams, give or take, of filament. So running this 4 times, I'm left with around 90 to 100 grams left. I could load 2 more up on there, but then that exceeds the 250 gram mark, which means I'm only able to run it 3 times, and then I'm left with about 190 to 200 grams of filament left, so I'd have to have a separate file to run. So I hope that makes sense. If any of you were wondering why I don't fill up the build plates, I do it based off of how much I can get out of a single spool without having to have multiple files to slice. And another printer that's not very popular with you guys, the FL Sun. Don't worry, it's not my favorite thing in the world, but it does work better now that I've replaced the effector unit on the inside and the parallel arms. I leave it off because the motor noise trying to keep these parallel arms up is so annoying. If any of you own a T1 Pro or a T1, S1, any of the Delta style printers, you'll know what I'm talking about. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear it. It's almost like a little beeping noise. And from what I understand, it's just the motor noise trying to keep those arms up. Man, it's kind of annoying. Let's talk Etsy for just a few minutes. I've got 51 inactive listings currently on Etsy, with only 22 of them active anymore. So most of the pup keychains are still active on Etsy. I've got a nut and bolt pencil holder, the tire stack desk organizers, some floppy disk coasters, and various items like that. The inactive ones, however, cookie cutters. Lots of cookie cutters are marked as inactive, and I'd like to change that. Mainly because I've got about 25 of the dog bone cookie cutters, probably 50 or so of the paw print cookie cutters. So I think it's in my best interest to get those listed, get them out of the shop, make room for new stuff instead of just having them sitting down there. All these items here are inactive. Some of them is because I'm not currently subscribed to their Thangs or Patreon, so I have no permission to list their products anymore, like the melting pumpkin jack-o'-lanterns and giant pencil holder. Others are duplicates that I created with different titles to see how that would work, kind of like an A to B testing. But we've got 51 inactive listings. Some of these I definitely need to get active again. It's pretty easy. You can go like this, activate. These real estate business card holders, I want to do them again, but they need to be redesigned. This will be something that personally I go back in and design my own of, because the way that the business cards are held in here, they need double-sided tape or something to adhere them. It would be far easier if customers were allowed to just slide that business card right into there and it stays. That's a Christmas thing. I don't really need that listed now. We can renew the camera business card holders. Those were selling all right. Let's see, we're gonna renew these dog bone cookie cutters, and I've also got the English bulldog or French bulldog cookie cutters that we can renew. Aside from that, I don't really have any more of the cookie cutters printed out. This would be a good thing to get renewed since I have them on the shelf down there. The way I look at it is the more items that you have in stock, the more items that you will sell. Panda Bear fidget keychains, those are pretty cool. They were selling when they were listed, so I might as well get them sold again. You know, the rest of the stuff on here, I think I'm okay with not having it listed. The other thing I need to make sure I do is go into Etsy ads, because all these listings prior had ads turned on, and I'm not currently running ads on any of my products. As for some of the items that I'd like to list, I could go in here and, you know, design my own products, but I'm not a super, how do I word this? It's not creative isn't the right word, but I'm a very basic person, so I don't need a whole lot. When I look around at what I have, I pretty much just get by, right? I don't have planters in my house. I don't need little keychains like this. This thing caught my attention because, I mean, that's just kind of cool. But stuff like this, like I would never think to come up with a design like that. It's a really cool planter design, but my head just doesn't work that way. And I feel guilty about taking, you know, the planters are something that is so oversaturated on Etsy that it's one of those things where I don't know if it's in my best interest to do them. I'm not really into dragons and stuff like that. Stuff like this would be about my limitation of coming out with creative things. You know, I'm not a woman. I don't have earrings. I don't have anybody to test the earrings. So, you know, I think that there is such a vast collection of things on Thangs and Patreon and printables and Maker World that you are allowed to sell. So why make things more difficult than they have to be? The caveat to that is you're going into an oversaturated market. If you know, let's take the Cacti Keys, for instance, 1.2 thousand downloads. And that's just that model. Who knows how many of those people are actually selling it, but I'd imagine there's quite a few of them. So now you're going to go in there competing with 1,500 other people on that exact same product. You know, a lot of these things are pretty cool, right? Forest chess set, they call these bath lilies, desktop skee ball. Like, these people are super creative. Like, I see these and go, how come I couldn't think of that? But they're already here. So there's no point in going and redesigning them to make it slightly different and call it my own, right? The lantern log, that's genius. Like, I would put that in my house, but I'd never have thought to come up with that. 1.7 thousand downloads. So you have to kind of look around and figure out what makes the most sense for you. Because in reality, it probably doesn't make the most sense to print something that 2,000 other people are already printing and trying to sell. It's not to say you won't have luck with it. Obviously, 1.2 thousand other people have downloaded it and are giving it a go. But for me, it would be more beneficial to take things that aren't so mainstream, right? This. 17 downloads. It was listed 2 days ago in Organizers and Home Improvement. If you can take something like this that's got very few people already selling it, as long as you can get out ahead, you'll become one of those successful people, or could become one of those successful people selling models like this. Flowalistic, he's got some pretty cool models listed on here. But the planters, they're pretty cool, but planters, again, they're kind of an oversaturated market on Etsy. Again, not to say they're not going to do well, so maybe it makes sense to, you know, this has 4 downloads 22 days ago. You get out in front and you sell that product that's got 4 people who've downloaded it, you might have success with it. But things like this are stuff that, are pretty simple to design inside of Shaper or Fusion. So personally, I wouldn't pay for a subscription to stuff like that. Pokeball fidget spinner, you can't sell that. That's one of those things that would get your Etsy shop flagged or potentially shut down. Yes, you can come up with the excuse that there's thousands of other people doing it. That still doesn't make it right. If you want to be on the side of getting your Etsy shop shut down, go for it. These buckets, I see that and I go, that's really cool. Like a pencil holder, whatever you want to call it, drumstick holder, bucket scoop, lots of different ideas, 4.2 thousand downloads. So you kind of have to scour through here and figure out what is going to be the most worth it to pay. Because if you go become a member, right, you want a commercial license, we're going to do monthly billing, you're paying $20 a month, right? You have unlimited downloads for all of this person's models. But the biggest thing I like to look for is what could I take from here and realistically sell for, coming up with that $12 or $20 a month. I mean, like a mini beer cooler has only got 17 downloads. Does it realistically make sense to sell it? Like what? The peanut butter and jelly the long way? I don't understand it. That's not to say other people aren't going to, but for me personally, that's not something I would try and print to sell. Just doesn't seem very beneficial. I promise I'm going to get into printing and downloading some things, but I wanted to definitely point this out that I would not venture into doing something like this. So all of these licenses are a license to print and sell the physical product. The digital files are never for resale. That's fine. The models that he's creating and listing are all trademarked or mostly trademarked and copywritten. You can't sell Winnie the Pooh. You can't sell Nemo, the A&W logo. These are all copyrighted or trademarked logos that while you technically are paying for a subscription to sell his models, you are not allowed to sell anything because it has the Houston Texans logo on it or the Panthers logo or Audi. You can print and download these for yourself, but that's one of the things that if you're selling these online, you're going to set yourself up for copyright claims, especially with things like Spider-Man, Super Mario, Star Wars. Disney will come after you, I promise. So be very careful with that. To each their own. If that's something you decide to do, just be aware that your Etsy shop may be permanently shut down, and Etsy is getting pretty particular with it, and they will prevent you from creating a new Etsy shop if they permanently ban your previous one. Just be aware. So I've gone ahead and subscribed to 3D Meeks over on Thanks. I've got a little plan up my sleeve, I suppose. I've also went and ordered a bunch of these mini succulents, so we actually have some stuff to put in there when we take photos. But I thought this was a really cool idea for some of the stuff that he has. The 12-gauge shell pencil holder caught my attention, but in particular the Scatus stuff, because I just ordered some Scatus boards and they actually arrived today from IKEA. So they're going to end up going on the wall behind me, but the ability to print and test, take pictures of things that work with Scatus is going to be huge. He's also got some stuff for holding your iPad, some Brickfinity attachments, neat little desk attachments, stuff like that. So I'll link his page down in the description below if you should choose to purchase anything from him or subscribe to his things. I'm going to go ahead and get a couple of these models loaded up on 3 of the printers behind me. I've got an A1 Mini without the AMS. I've got the A1 Mini with the AMS. And I've also got my Ender 3 V3 SE sitting behind me that we can put some of the single color prints on like this or that. Another good reason why I don't just wait for it to unload, because right now I can go take this filament off, go find the other one that I want to use, which in this case is going to be a silk bronze from Elegoo. We're going to use this for the base of those 12-gauge pencil holders. Oh, pretty much perfect timing too. Load. I'm going to slice this with the same exact profile that I use for all of the Elegoo. We're just going to kind of hope it works. I've got the red loaded up in this A1 Mini. I don't currently have anything sliced or planned for the Creality just yet, but I will be getting something loaded up on that so we can print probably a brown. The 12-gauge one with the drip tray. This one we're just going to load the drip tray on there. And we're using regular Elegoo PLA, not on the cryo grip. This is going to be in silver, so or bronze, gold, whatever you want to call it. Just give it a basic color there. Load it up with a standard 0.20 profile. Going to do 3 walls, 3 top and bottom layers, and we'll do 15% adaptive cubic infill. Take about 52 minutes for this guy. I'm going to do bed leveling and send that on over to A1 Mini 2. And then we can open up a new plate and we'll drag the top of the planter in there. This one is going to be sliced in red. Same filament, except this one is going to be on the super tack plate. So I will load up my profile for PLA super tack and we'll change this to 2. We can make this red. I'm going to slice it with the exact same settings. This guy's going to take about 3 hours and 50 minutes. This is going to be A1 Mini with the AMS. And I've got red loaded into AMS slot 3. All right, we'll check on these guys in a little bit. Our first one of the base just finished up over on A1 Mini 2. Just finished up, so it hasn't popped off the build plate yet. So this should lock into place with these little nubs here. Obviously, we've still got quite a bit of time left on the top part of it, about 3 hours, 3 hours exactly actually. I'm gonna get a couple more of these printed out, and the next run of this, assuming everything works, I'm gonna probably load up the build plate on this as well. For right now though, let's just do another one of these. This Elegoo bronze PLA, I think it's their bronze silk PLA, looks really, really good. Pretty much perfect for this application. And this is the third model that I'm going to print out today from the same maker, 3D Meeks. Print out this internal part first out of Elegoo's wood PLA, wood color PLA anyways, not actual wood PLA. And then we'll use their darker brown for this. If you haven't seen the videos before, this is just a Surface 1 tablet, the original Surface, with the x86 chip in there, so it can run full Windows and full Windows programs. But I have installed Raspberry Pi OS on here to run as a server, and we've got the dashboard pulled up. So I can just go to Filament Unload. Obviously, it's going to start heating up the nozzle, and then it will retract whatever is left in there. I'm just going to clip that right there so we can get on to bigger and better things. This guy's ready whenever that is. Get that guy out of there. Another reason why I clip filament is when you have a machine, well, like this Ender 3 V3 SE right here, nobody's going to re-put that back in there, so you're going to end up clipping it anyways. Speaking of clipping it, I guess one thing I do enjoy about this printer is this little manual filament loading and unloading. Kind of easier. Pretty much purge all that stuff out of there. I can hit cool down so we don't keep leaking all the filament out, and this one's pretty much ready to go. I've also got this set up this way because I hate putting SD cards in and out of machines, and this way I'm able to just put in the local IP address of the printer, slice the plate, and hit print. And now we're looking at basically the same screen that we were looking at before on the tablet, and we'll just let this guy do its thing. Well, it's printing, but I can't say it's doing it very well. Lots of under extrusion on parts of the build plate here, and then as it gets there towards the back, it's doing whatever it's doing. Freshly cleaned build plate too. Gonna let it roll, we'll see how far we get with it. If nothing else, it'll be good enough for some product photos. A1 Mini AMS is making good progress on top of this guy. Just over 2 hours left, and our second one of these has about 8 minutes left. Before I print another one of these out though, I do want to make sure everything fits properly connected to this, so I'm going to hold off on doing another one of these on this machine, and we can print something else in the meantime whenever this is done. This one's all finished up. This isn't exactly the easiest process to do with one hand. Gonna get another model from 3D Meeks loaded up onto here. First, let's unload our filament and give this guy a little snip here. We're also trying to maintain our control over it so it doesn't just unravel on itself. There we go. And this is the filament, by the way. Silk bronze from Elegoo. In fact, I'm just going to leave it right over here underneath. The next model I am printing out today is just over 100 grams. Let's see if we have any in here that are also just over 100 grams. It's about 102, I think, so this should work. Are you dreaming? Was you dreaming about something? Oh jeez. Yeah, you dreaming? Was you running? Yeah, you was barking in your sleeps. Oh jeez. So the next model that I've got here to print is an Xbox controller holder from 3D Meeks. Everything that I'm printing today on these machines behind me is going to be from 3D Meeks. I guess tire track, almost. Tire track? You can see it, you have eyes. We're gonna be doing this one, and then he's also got this model that we're gonna print out to offer alongside of the other tire stack desk organizer. Now this is obviously a planter, but he does have the model here too for the pencil cup holder. Probably also going to do that as well. I just have to get myself a MagSafe charger for the iPhone. Do have the one that came with the Apple Watch, but that's too small for this guy. It's going to take about 2 hours and 47 minutes, use just over 100 grams of filament, and this guy is going to get sent over to A1 Mini 2. Not looking half bad after all. Actually looks pretty good on this second or third layer here. Got a little bit of lifting or something going on in the back corner there, but it'll be good enough to get some product photos. Most of this will be hidden anyway, because the way this file builds up is kind of a stair-step topography map, so should be all right. Okay, so this guy finished up. I was able to get it together. Looks all right. I do have one issue with it though. So this is the base piece, and it's got these little nubs on it here. The problem is the corresponding piece does not have those nubs, so when you go to insert it into here, it just kind of pushes them down and breaks them off. It's also fairly difficult to get on and off, so I worry about that for longevity as well as overall customer experience. So I think for this particular situation, I'm going to avoid listing the planter. I may list one or two, send them out and see what customers think, but my guess is they're going to have the same reaction I did. Why isn't there a lip for this to stick into, or a groove that they can go up into and then turn so they're locked into place? The good news is he also offers one of these as a pencil holder, and it looks like it's going to be a single print without the two parts. So with the A1 Mini, with the AMS, we can set it up to do the bronze part up until it reaches this point, and then it will switch to the red and continue printing up for the pencil holder. Theoretically, that would work as well for the planter, especially if you're not using real succulents or real plants. You don't need the drainage holes in there, but it's just a thought. I mean, overall, the print came out all right. I just wish there was some sort of groove designed into the base of this to make it a little bit easier for the customer, for lack of a better word, I guess. So what I'm gonna do is remove this Overture matte PLA from the A1 Mini, and I'm gonna swap it with the bronze that we used for the base. And then I'm gonna print the pencil cup, see how that comes out, and we'll go from there. I also need to do something about the sturdiness of this, I guess. It's a little bit wobbly, and that may have caused some issues when it came to print quality, but I mean, these machines do have all the vibration compensation and stuff. That still doesn't fix the fact that this thing is shaking around like a rave party. So definitely going to look into some stability brackets, possibly mounting it to the wall. I haven't quite figured it out yet. These are pretty cheap shelving units overall, so I may just replace them with something entirely different. Looks like we've got about 200 grams left on the spool of red as well. So what I'm gonna do instead is let's go in here and change this to Super Tack profile. We can remove both of these. In fact, I can get rid of that plate altogether. Gonna get rid of those two, that way it's sliced for this, and we will see how long this is gonna take to print. My guess about 4 hours. Yep, 4 hours and 3 minutes. We'll use a total of 84 grams. We're going to send it to A1 Mini with the AMS. Make sure I've got these set up for the right spools. Looks like I've got bronze in 2 and red in 3. We're good to go. With all of that said and done, that's where I'm going to wrap this video up, folks. Thank you so much for joining me today. I know this one went on for a little bit longer than usual, but we are on our way to getting quite a bit done and added to the Etsy shop. I'm going to continue printing and adding things from 3D Meeks to the Etsy shop. So in the next video, we're going to take some product photos of not only the stuff we printed out today, but some of the other stuff that we currently have listed on our page. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up so YouTube knows you enjoyed this type of content, and if you want to see more, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on the next upload. If you're interested in testing out those models for yourself, I'll link the thanks page for 3D Meeks down in the description below, as well as the filament that I used today, that bronze from Elegoo. I'm really starting to like that. I'll have all that stuff linked down in the description below. I will see you all in the next video, folks. Take care.